Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Lance here, bringing you guys another video, and today I'm bringing a little bit of a controversial one because we're talking about the difference between losing results and keeping them. And as you see in the headline here, if you get a result and yet aren't certain of how to reproduce the outcome, results were never yours to begin with. I know that sounds harsh, but the reality is that so many people are focusing on the wrong things based on the fact that they feel that they're in a position of pain and they want to get out of that pain, so that causes them to actually start creating habits or new actions that are so rigid they're not able to keep up with. And so there are several different things that we've got to keep in mind here in order to make sure that the results that we're working for, we don't get and then we go right back to where we used to be, because that's something that I see more often than anything. So the fact is that 95%, these are real statistics, 95% of weight loss programs fail. It's not because they can't lose weight, okay? And keep in mind, there's so many people that lose weight on all these programs. The real caveat is that they're not able to keep it gone. These individuals are being taught a temporary makeover. What that means is that they are learning habits that will reduce body fat or increase a little bit of muscle, but they're not learning habits that they would actually be able to keep those things, because either the system is too flawed for the lifestyle, they've not worked on their mindset, maybe their habits are off, or simply that they're overexerting themselves, or the worst, they never determined what their goals were to begin with. They just simply focused on getting something that they have that they don't want. Meaning, I just want to not feel fat anymore. I just want to feel better about myself. That's not really a goal, in which case somebody is very clear on what it is they want. So, with that being said, when you do things that you haven't learned, if they're repeatable or feasible long term, what you're looking at here is that you reduce your ability to keep the results that you worked so hard on. And this is the problem here, is that, again, you never really learn to figure out if this habit would be something that you would be able to repeat after you've reached your goals. Likewise, is it something that's even feasible, something that doesn't make you feel like you're deprived and crazy when you're doing this? What I mean by this is that there are many, many ways to decrease body fat. Some of them are much more comfortable than others. What I mean is that my clients, I can simply reduce their calories equally so that they have adequate numbers of proteins, carbs, and fiber and fats. That means that they'll be able to enjoy some things like macaroni and cheese if they wanted to. Now, the other way to do this is where I cut out or remove an entire food group altogether, such as carbs. And now by reducing carbs, I've still reduced your calories the exact same way, so you're going to lose body fat the same way. But now, what I've done is I've removed an entire 1/3 of your food options, because now you don't have the option to take in carbs. So this is what we would say is a good potential for making this harder to sustain my results long term. Because you got to keep in mind, guys, are you looking for results, or are you looking to be carb free? The reality is that sometimes you're willing to go carb free because you heard that that's what produces better results. I'm here to tell you otherwise, and I've got proof of this, ample proof, but today we're just going to focus on the fact that we're going to align our habits with long-term solutions, not short-term ones. So next thing is that when you do things that are so rigid that it feels hard to keep up with them, this is a great way to ensure that you're not able to repeat your process and outcome. So again, if you're doing things that you feel like, man, this is working, but I feel deprived, I'm so ready for the end of the diet. If you are ready for the end of your thing, it means that it's too rigid for you and you're not going to be able to keep the results. So when you're feeling like, I just can't wait till this is over, it's already over for you, because you're doing something that won't last. Does this make sense? I don't want to hurt feelings here. I want it to trigger something that you go, oh my gosh, that's what I've been doing. No wonder I'm dissatisfied. I want to give you solutions. And there are solutions, but it's only in science, away from your emotions. Believe me, and this is coming from somebody who's a highly emotional person. We have to utilize logic in order to make decisions, whereas most people use emotion to make decisions and then grab logic to justify that decision. Guess what happens then? We get an outcome that we cannot repeat. This is where people reach out and go, Lance, I don't know what happened. I used to just cut calories or do this and that, and it stopped working. What's happened? What's happened is you didn't understand the science that every time you reduced your calories and kept it low and then went back, you were slamming your metabolism and then increasing your calories and picking up more body fat. Because if you're at 3,000 calories and your body fat is, let's say, burning 2,700 calories, then you reduce your calories to 2,000, and it reduces your calories even more, because this is what happens with metabolic adaptation. Eventually what happens is your body gets the signal that it must only need 2,000 calories a day. So it starts burning body fat. What happens is you get done with your diet of, I don't want to eat only 2,000 calories a day, but your metabolism is still at, I only need 2,000 calories a day. So the next thing you do is, I'm done with this diet, I'm going back to my normal thing where you're having some, some chips and some breads, whatever it is that you normally eat. So now your metabolism is still telling you you only need 2,000 calories a day, but your old lifestyle was 2,700 or 2,800 calories a day, let's just say. So now what's happened is, your fat cells are ready to take up more fat, and you've just crashed your metabolism enough because you've given your body the signal that food was sparse. And what that means is that your body goes, oh gosh, I don't want to starve, so it starts slowing down the ability to waste energy or fat, and it starts holding it. I'm going to hold on to fat until he starts feeding me more, just in case, so we don't starve. That's what your body is doing. Many people don't know this, and they think that there's something mystical about certain foods. Oh yeah, I just cut out my carbs. Oh, I just do fasting. Guys, these things only work because of a reduction of calories. I don't care what anybody says. I'll argue to this to the death. There are other variables, but this is the main one. You're not going to get away from the laws of thermodynamics, okay? All right, moving on. We must focus on keeping the end in mind at the beginning, so that we aren't just trying to get out of pain immediately, okay? But we're intentional about choosing the life that we actually want. And what this means is that, again, we're not just thinking about, I just have to get off this 30 pounds where I feel better again. That's a quick way to just start doing things really rigidly and going, well, I used to run, so I'll just run more. And then what happens if you're a high achiever like many of our clients, you have this mentality that goes, well, if some is good, then more must be better. So then you start overexerting yourself and you wear yourself out. Is this relating to anybody? Does this resonate? These are the things that prevent people from getting where they want to go, because they align their habits with a temporary makeover, something that we don't even want. So the next thing here is that avoiding pain is simply telling yourself what you don't want. There's no power in that. I don't want to be fat anymore. I don't want to carry this. I don't want to have heart disease. Well, that's great. Nobody wants those things, but what is it that you do desire? Why don't we align your actions with what you desire, rather than aligning your actions to get things or to aim for things that you don't want? It doesn't really make sense. It's not the way our subconscious works. So what I would recommend doing is, instead of simply trying to avoid pain or getting out of pain by, I just have to do whatever it takes to get out of this, start with the end in mind and think to yourself, I do want out of how I feel, but how am I going to make sure that I never go back here again? That's wisdom, and this is how we start choosing paths that are better for us. The same thing with somebody who's trying to overcome alcoholism. You don't sit there and think to yourself like, I don't want to be an alcoholic, but I still want to be able to walk by the bars and so on and so forth. You start thinking like, I don't want to be drinking anymore, and I never want to ever be tempted to go back to this again. Well, there are the individuals who will walk past the bar and hope that they've got the willpower to not go in. Then there's the individual who walk on the other side of the road, and then the really smart one is the one who takes an entirely different route to make sure that the bar is never even in their path. That is the sort of thing that I'm talking about here. That is where you're thinking about the end in mind at the very beginning. So here's the deal, guys. This is how we get temporary makeovers and not a permanent transformation when we're doing this. But when we start aligning our habits with something that we do want, and we're focusing on sustainability, does this make sense? Am I going to be able to get results and it fits my lifestyle? Now there's real power here, because again, we start choosing actions and habits that not only get us results in the short term, but we know that we can sustain these results without crashing our metabolism, so we can effectively know that in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, we'll still be able to keep these things going, especially if there's flexibility and so on and so forth. So I hope that this helps you guys. I hope that there's a few aha moments that you've thought about, just simply to ask yourself, when I've gotten in shape or tried to get in shape, was I really doing it where I was kind of not thinking about the end in mind, where I was only thinking about trying to get out of pain? If so, that's probably why you didn't get the results. It's not your willpower or discipline. There's nothing wrong with you. You simply need a better system to follow so that way you don't just get results that are temporary, you get results that last indefinitely. So hope this helps you guys. If you feel like it was helpful, be sure to comment #value in the comments below and let me know what questions you have, and I'll see you guys on the